brazen. We'll see. We'll see. We've got to talk about money very quickly. Gov.exe says Justin Trudeau gave Ukrainians $13 billion when we owe $2.5 trillion and 25% of Canadians live below the poverty line. I don't think a single dollar should leave our shores when we're buried in debt and people are starving. It's time we cut foreign aid to zero and look after Canada first. Yeah. There was a guy yesterday who was arguing. He told me that I should go visit Israel because I wasn't capable of having an opinion on the whole situation because I haven't visited Israel. And I said, buddy, I can read. You can definitely form an opinion by reading what's happened, being informed, and then saying, oh man, based on all of these things that everybody agrees has happened and is written on all these books here, I think this, you could definitely do that. I come to this conclusion, right? So Justin Trudeau he was definitely arguing that I was not able to have an opinion, and that's just nonsense. Okay, son of a bench, let's talk about NATO. Let's talk about Justin Trudeau being a joke on the world stage and Canada, by extension, being a joke on the world stage because we are not a serious country, because we're not behaving in a serious way. I mean, we have Chinese traders in our country, and the news is focusing on foreign stories. It's really, they don't want to actually cover anything important just in case Canadians get upset and might throw out Justin Trudeau, their golden goose cash cow, right? So I'm very suspect of all Canadian news these days. Son of a bench is talking about this, and so this is the live feed from CPAC, and Son of a bench says Trudeau was speaking to a nearly empty room at the NATO summit for his press conference. Look at all the empty seats. This is why Poilievre refers to Trudeau as a joke on the international stage. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4 people in the audience, and there's nobody there, right? There's nobody there to see the Canadian Prime Minister. Nobody cares what he has to say, right? So he's stepping out there. This is the press conference.
Bonjour tout le monde.
Yes.
Le sommet de l'OTAN se termine aujourd'hui.
So everybody here, the 4 people in the room who are all probably staffers, right? Like this is GM Forbes shows a similar, I guess they turned the lights on, and GM Forbes says, wow, look at the crowd who came to see Trudeau. Jolie and Blair lie their asses off. And Judy says, breaking, Prime Minister Trudeau says Canada will meet its NATO defense spending obligation by 2032. Oh, there it is, 32. Announces plans to buy 12 submarines and Arctic icebreakers and inks partnership to meet needs. So the icebreakers apparently can't get out of harbor and they have a 1-year warranty. Great. Wonderful. That's really good. 1-year warranty on an icebreaker ship. And we're not meeting our NATO obligations, and there's a broader conversation that needs to happen there. But here again is the empty room that Justin Trudeau and Mel Joly and Bill Blair are talking to, pretending to be important, but it's more a show for Canadians than it is actually doing anything real or material, right? Here it is.
GDP spending target by 2032.
Nobody cares. Nobody cares. Nobody's there. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. Right? That's it. Anti-taxer says Justin Trudeau is such a fraud. He addressed NATO yesterday about the security threat of climate change. At least it would appear he was addressing NATO because of the flags behind him like a movie set. When he turned his head to the right during his speech, he was actually looking at the small delegation he took with him. Melanie Joly posted this picture, then hastily deleted it. She probably got a phone call because of how bad it looked. There are clearly not many people there. Yeah, so same. I don't know if this is the same room, because in the other announcement room, there's got the blue background. You can see the blue background here. And this is a different room without the blue background. No blue background, no blue background. There's blue seats and things here. I don't know if they got moved or if this is just a different thing, but there weren't many people showing up at any of Trudeau's things. So here's the Canadian delegation and probably others from the Canadian delegation and nobody else. So Justin Trudeau is being ignored, right? Because, well, nobody's interested in anything that he has to say. Son of a bench is sharing this Poilievre clip. Trudeau is seen as a joke on the world stage. Here we go.
It's clear now Justin Trudeau is seen as an absolute joke on the world stage. I was embarrassed to see our Prime Minister treated like a human piñata by the rest of the NATO countries. They look upon him with total and complete ridicule. Canadians are tired of being embarrassed by a Prime Minister who prances around and preens lectures the world without doing his part. It's clear now just...
So, interesting, right? You got to make political hay out of Trudeau's missteps, and Poilievre is taking the opportunity. And here they're asking about, why can't you commit to 2% NATO spending? And True North is highlighting this. I always say what I mean and mean what I say. I make promises that I can keep. Our country is broke after 9 years of Justin Trudeau. So NATO spending is not going to be Poilievre's priority, or is it? Here we go.
Why won't you commit to meeting the NATO target instead of saying you would work toward meeting the spending commitment? The difference being saying you're going to do something versus working toward or trying to do something.
I always say what I mean and mean what I say. I make promises that I can keep. And right now we are, our country is broke after 9 years of Trudeau, who's doubled our national debt, ballooned our bureaucracy, caused the worst inflation in 40 years, driven 25% of our population into poverty and 25% of our children into hunger. So as you can imagine, I'm inheriting a dumpster fire when it comes to the budget. So every time I make a financial commitment, I'm going to make sure I've pulled out my calculator and done all the math. Because people are sick and tired of politicians just announcing that they're going to spend money without figuring out how they're going to pay for it. Obviously, Trudeau has demolished our military, and my common sense approach is I will cut foreign aid to dictators, terrorists, and multinational bureaucracies. I will crack
not all foreign aid, right?
Down on corruption, back office bureaucracy, and procurement bungles, and I will use the savings from that to reinforce our military.
And we'll just end it there. So, interesting. There's a lot of difference, or Mr. Poilievre is trying to create a lot of differences between his Conservative Party and the current Liberal Party. So will it come to fruition? We'll see. I'm not sure. I'm not sure of how this whole Poilievre thing is going to go. Maxime Bernier says, we don't have to side with NATO warmongers. We don't have to be at war with Russia and risk a catastrophic escalation. Canada should support Viktor Orban's peace mission instead of sending more money and weapons to Zelensky. Yep, and Orban says, Peace Mission 5.0. It was an honor to visit President Trump at Mar-a-Lago today. We discussed ways to make peace. The good news of the day, he's going to solve it. So there you go. President Trump's going to fix it in November, everyone. Just can't wait. Fingers crossed. My goal, as is repeatedly stated, is continuation and a secure, stable supply of chocolate cereal. And the fastest way to get Canada back to productivity and regular, sane life, restoring sanity, rule of law, real rule of law, not depending on where you come from and what your skin color is, rule of law, right? Like all of that too. All of that depends on a stable society, right? And right now we're being destabilized with crackpot ideas, powerful people who are ideologically captured and placed, and that's bad. And we should get rid of all of that, and we should restore sanity to our governments, to our leadership. That's a tall order, though. Easier said than done. True North is reporting. We've got a grab bag of governance. My favorite segment. The Conservatives says True North, the Conservatives are looking to bring the House of Commons Public Safety Committee back early from its summer break over documents the Tories say reveal over 250 individuals were charged with homicide while out on bail in 2022. Wow. That's interesting. It's an interesting strategy. I have a feeling that the Liberals are going to respond in September, right? Like, oh man, we didn't get these emails because we don't check emails, and real sorry about that. Yes, those numbers are accurate. Wait till you see 2023, right? Like, I have a feeling that we're not going to get any satisfaction, but the strategy is at least there and clear, and the Conservatives are pushing. So that's interesting, notable. Martin is sharing this Financial Post article. CBC Watcher says, as of June 4th, 4.412 million workers were public employees, representing a 21.5% increase of Canada's workforce. That's an astonishing 972,000 more people, 28.3% than in 2014. So federal employment bloat costing taxpayers at least $10 billion annually. It's a huge waste of money. It's a huge money sink. And what does this do? Well, if you know your job depends, if you know that you don't do anything all day, every day, but you make a damn good salary and you can afford milk, you're going to vote for those liberals, because otherwise you're not getting by, right? Like, Martin says the attack of small and medium businesses was complemented by the massive public sector hiring. Trudeau has transformed and is transforming this country into an extreme socialist one. Yeah. People who are dependent on a bullshit government job, right? And the government gladly paying them because they're buying votes directly, right? Chris says, just jaw-dropping, Mansion Global is reporting Canadian government buys a New York City billionaire's row apartment for Consulate General. The $6.6 million unit will serve as the official residence of the Consulate General of Canada in New York. How do you become the Consulate General of Canada in New York? Because, that'd be kind of fun. That'd be a good job. I mean, there are other places like New York that you could be the Consulate General of Canada in, right? Be cool. In the Netherlands or London, maybe not London. London's a little violent these days, right? Maybe somewhere else. Is New York less violent than London? I don't know. They just got all those migrants. But Chris says, jaw-dropping. Trudeau and his elite buddies continue to live in luxury, and they are sending you the bill. This one is more than insane. Yeah, I don't know that the government can justify a $6.6 million New York apartment on the government dime. Like, oh man, the Governor General or the Consulate General of Canada in New York has to have this real impressive apartment, and if we don't buy it, who's going to buy it? Wasteful, right? It's wasteful spending. I was joking. I always thought that being an ambassador would be a fun job, though, like a genuinely fun job, and not for the perks. The perks would be kind of annoying because, when you want to just watch TV, you have to go to like a soiree or whatever. Watch TV. I have about an hour at night that I kind of turn off and just watch TV. And you can't watch anything these days because it's all terrible, right? There are certain shows that are okay, like Reacher's all right. There's a few ones that aren't woke. But yeah, you've got to have some downtime. And unfortunately, TV is the downtime these days. And a lot of people do that. But being a public servant in a situation like that, the working looks different, but you're still working a lot, right? And you're going to those parties, you're being seen. Why is that? Like, what's the purpose of all of that? I'm sure it's, relationship building, access, blah, 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 blah. But don't you have work to do? Like real work to do? It's weird. I'm not even really trying to justify it. I'm just watching it from afar and thinking like, it's interesting, all of these extra trappings around this leadership stuff. It seems like we've got a group of people who are supposed to be running the country, and they hand it off to another group of people who just go to parties. Right? Am I getting it wrong? Okay. V says, we the people right now, has everybody given up? Why are we allowing this? Why are we watching this like it's a TV show? Like it's a comedy. This is our country. And he's not wrong. I'm having this feeling too. Like everybody's sitting around. We all agree this is bad. We all agree that we're on the wrong track. We're going in the wrong direction. And we all agree, we'll wait till 2025, till that next election, because that's definitely going to solve it. And it just seems like we're totally missing it. Like we're bamboozling ourselves into thinking, yeah, it's definitely, what happens when Jagmeet Singh wins, right? What happens when Justin Trudeau wins? Oh man, I can't believe that happened. The elections are rigged, right? So here's this guy saying, we're not doing anything. Seems weird.
Has literally everybody given up? Why are we allowing this? We're watching it like it's a TV show. Like it's a freaking comedy. This is our country. Has literally.
Yeah. On the other side of things, there's history for people who didn't say anything because they feared the retribution, right? They feared government cracking down on them. They feared going to jail, like the January 6ers. They feared all sorts of different things. I might lose my job. If I lose my job, I can't keep my house. If I can't keep my house, my family's going to be upset with me. So, I'll do what I have to do to keep my life in order in the way it is. And so like, there's a lot of that. There's a lot of people who don't want to speak up because speaking up means starting on a process that will have them removed, right? If you're a teacher and you speak up, if you're a nurse and you speak up, if you're a doctor and you speak up. I've talked to nurses, teachers, and doctors who've all lost their jobs of 20 years, right? People have done a whole bunch of stuff, but like this has happened before, and it's resulted in a long time of tyranny and oppression and death and all sorts of other stuff. And yeah, it seems like we still don't believe it could happen here. We still don't believe it's real, right? Like, that's crazy. Holly Doan says university teachers seek exemption from the new federal law that unmasks friends of foreign agents, claiming a chilling effect. Yeah, we'd like to not register on that. Yeah, we know that there are Chinese traitors in the government. Yeah, but we'd still like to register an exemption. So I bet you these exemptions get granted much more than the COVID exemptions, right? And here is Danielle Smith bending the knee. What's your game, Danielle Smith? Danielle Smith says, I had an important and productive meeting this week with Modelo, Israel's ambassador to Canada, and Consul General, somebody else. We spoke about areas for collaboration between Israel and Alberta, including the technology, water, and agricultural sectors. So there you go. That's Danielle Smith. And the Federson says, Danielle's timing is impeccable, really. Unbelievable, right? Unbelievable. You got to play the game, I guess, right? You got to play the game. Here's Elon Musk. He's talking about, I'm not sanctioning the game, but apparently, I guess, if you make it to the level of being a premier or something to that effect, you get certain phone calls. And once you understand how things work, you make tweets like that. So Margaret says, in our view, X doesn't comply with the DSA in key transparency areas. It misleads users. It fails to provide adequate ad repository and blocks access to data for researchers. It's the first time we've issued a preliminary findings under the Digital Services Act. So Europe is trying to fine Elon Musk for not censoring his users. And Elon Musk says the European Commission offered X an illegal secret deal. If we quietly censored speech without telling anyone, they would not fine us. The other platforms accepted that deal. X did not. And so he's said repeatedly he's looking forward to a very public court battle to decide exactly how much censorship the EU needs to place on him, and then he'll tell everybody about it. So that's interesting. Wiretap Media says the creation of a digital safety ombudsperson found in Trudeau's Online Harms Act, Bill C-63, was prescribed by the Anti-Hate Network's executive director, Evan Balgord. The role of ombudsperson is to create online rules and regulations for social media companies restricting what Canadians can see on their platforms. This will eliminate government processes and the Canadian judiciary, but can be challenged by civil rights groups at a later date. Balgord believes that by removing the democratic process for his pro-democracy movement, it will expedite the time his team needs to combat the anti-democratic movement taking over the country. Read that again. So they want to censor you to save democracy, right? Bull poop. These people are evil people. Mocha, this is a different kind of censorship. So he's wearing a cowboy hat. Mocha's got a cowboy hat with a GoPro strapped to it, and he's got a camera, and that's it, right? And so he's been sharing stuff about the World Sikh organization, and Sikhs for Justice says assassination of Sharif Nijar spy network led by Indian High Commissioner Verma facilitated the shooters. Now, before 28th July Calgary Khalistan referendum voting, this man was caught recording and monitoring Khalistan Freedom Car rally in Calgary on 6th of July with highly sophisticated gadgets, a GoPro on a hat, and a camera. If you know the identity of this man or know anything about him or his whereabouts, please call or report to RCMP or CSIS. And Mocha's responding to that. He says, they're trying to get me killed. I'm not a spy. I'm a journalist. My GoPro is not a sophisticated gadget. I have that attached on my head for safety reasons, as one of your members who didn't like my publications assaulted me in Edmonton. You know very well that's me, and I've covered your events many times with the same sophisticated gadgets. You also accused another individual earlier for being a spy, but then had to retract after police discovered that he was just a passerby. This is reckless behavior. To call me, someone who's already receiving death threats from your cult, a spy is unacceptable behavior, and I will sue the daylights out of you. This is the same organization that's organizing the Khalistani referendum in Calgary on July 28th, dedicated to Air India co-conspirator Talwinder Singh Parmar. They're not happy with my coverage and they want to murder me. This is the group Mayor Gondik is welcoming to Calgary, where I live. Bunch of terrorist glorifiers who are putting a target on my back. Are they doing this because I exposed Bakshish, one of Sikhs for Justice executives who happens to graduate from a medical school that was shut down for selling hundreds of fake medical diplomas? Mayor Gondik must denounce this group and for allowing and this guy for allowing their goudoir to be used as a base for this group. So interesting stuff going on with Mocha. Not good. I hope he's safe. And Catherine McKenna. So in the same vein as Mocha being pressured by these thugs, right? The former Canadian government thugs and current Canadian municipal thugs are pressuring Diagolon, right? So here's Hamilton, and they say, on July 31st, 2024, the violent white nationalist organization Diagolon is planning to host an event in Hamilton as part of their terror tour to promote hatred. We must stand together against white supremacy. Full statement and list of signatories here, right? So Hamilton Center for Civic Inclusion is getting in on this. And so they're calling for boycotting or whatever. And Catherine McKenna uses this and jumps off. And she says, as a proud Hamiltonian, joining the community and standing up against white supremacy and hate. And really, every time they do this, Ferryman made a video yesterday, and every time they do something like this, the tour gets bigger. Apparently somebody was trying to get tickets and they said they waited too long. It was already sold out. And I showed you a picture the other day of Jeremy McKenzie and Ferryman going up to a reporter trying to talk to him and inviting him in and say, if you want to cover the event, you might as well come in and have a hot dog and, whatever. And the guy acted crazy, rolled up the window, pretended to be scared. And honestly, all of this stuff is just to build a narrative of white supremacy, white supremacists are crazy. I don't know necessarily that that's Diagolon's message. And so they're trying to, it's just like the Freedom Convoy. The Freedom Convoy is not about X, it's about Y. And I know that. You don't know that. Like you are spreading misinformation, disinformation that helps your cause. And so this Diagolon tour is doing great and seems super fun. So I hope people who go have a wonderful time. July 31st. I'll have to see what date that is. Hold on a second. It's a Wednesday. Ooh, Wednesday evening in Hamilton. I could do that. That might be fun. I wonder, does anybody know if Hamilton's sold out? I'll have to go check it out. Elon Musk, again, is talking about the invasion of the United States. And Adrian says the U.S. House has passed the SAVE Act, which would require proof of citizenship to vote. Yes, 216 and 5 Democrats, so 221, and nay, 198. And S.E. Robinson says, unfortunately, Biden will veto it if it passes the Senate. And Elon Musk says there's a tiny chance that this will pass the Senate if a few Dems cross the party lines. But Biden said he would veto it if he would veto the bill even if it did. I wonder why. And people are saying because Democrats would lose all 50 states if they didn't cheat, and Democrats would be in a situation where the incoming party wants to investigate and there would be a lot of evidence of fraud, et cetera, et cetera. But that happened in 2020 and nothing happened, right? So they're still litigating it and it doesn't look like it's going well. So weird. Here is Pierre Poilievre, and this is the part where he realizes, and thanks, this is shared from the Canada Poly chat, Tyler, I think. But thanks for sharing. I think it's interesting because he realizes while he's answering a question that he's using the liberal NewSpeak. And he says, we can't talk about it like that. That's not what it is. So here's Pierre Poilievre realizing that he's using the liberal language. Here we go.
We will close safe injection sites next to schools, playgrounds, anywhere else that they endanger the public and take lives. We will defund. By the way, they're not safe injection sites. I'm sorry. I used your dishonest language. See, you just repeat the language that is fed to you by the government. Are you a CP? Are you a CP?
Canadian Press.
CP?
Who are you with?
Globe and Mail.
You're with the Globe and Mail.
Guy who works with Globe and Mail has no idea what he's talking. Are you with Canadian Press? What? Canadian Press? I'm with Globe and Mail. Oh, right. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. These people don't know what the hell they're talking about.
You guys repeat the same language you get from the liberal, the radical liberal NDP activists and bureaucracies. You call them safe. How can they be safe? You think it's safe when a bullet comes flying out of one of these sites to kill a mother in Toronto? Do you think that's safe? You think it's safe to have people using crack and heroin and cocaine next to a playground like this? You think that's safe? It's not safe.
Supervised injection sites.
They're drug dens. They're drug dens. And they've made everything worse. Everywhere they've been done, they've made everything worse. And I know what you'll do now. You'll now go and call the same bureaucrats who caused the chaos, and you'll call them experts. The people who caused the 400% increase in drug overdose deaths in Vancouver, you're going to call them experts. They are expert at destroying communities and ending lives, but at perpetuating their own industries, because that's what they are. They are
So there you go. Interesting, right? And so we'll see. We'll see. Globe and Mail reports Poilievre says conservatives would close supervised drug consumption sites. Previously, the Globe and Mail would say safe injection sites. Interesting. He called them out, said you guys use their language and you shouldn't. And because of that, they changed their language. Hello everyone, thanks very much for watching. This is just a short version of a longer show. If you'd like to get the whole show, you can go over to CanadaPoly.com and sign up for a subscription. Just look in the drop-down tab for Shop and Donate and look for subscriptions, and you'll get immediate access to the full show. Love to see you. Thanks for watching, everybody. Have a wonderful, wonderful day.